The Stoeger STR-9S is a non-Glock clone. What could that possibly mean? I'll tell you that and more in this video. Welcome back to Gun Deals. I'm David and we are looking at the Stoeger STR-9S Combat. Now the STR-9S hit the market a few years ago and it was very popular because it was a Glock clone that was pretty well made and it sold for less than $300. Fast forward to 2021, they announced at SHOT Show that they would be releasing the combat version and optics ready versions. And the combat version is basically the optics ready version with adjustable target sights, a threaded barrel, a magwell, and it ships with 3 20-round magazines. And it's probably a good thing that it ships with 3 20-round magazines because these magazines are notoriously difficult to find and they cost a lot of money. So for a pistol with a very low price, and I think that these are retailing for less than $500, which is a pretty smoking deal considering the quality, but the magazines are going for closer to $50 for just the 15-round mag tube, and I have no idea what the 20-rounders cost because I haven't found them in stock anywhere. But the magazines are super high quality. They're made in Italy, which presumably means these are Mech-Gar magazines, and Mech-Gar makes the finest magazines in the world. And the gun is set up in such a way because they did ditch the Glock magazine. They were able to resculpt the grip, and as a result, the pistol is ergonomic in a way that basically all other Glock clones are not. They copy-pasted all of the finger grooves from the VP9, they added palm swells from like the MMP, and they put the most aggressive texture on the backstrap of the pistol that I think I've ever encountered on a polymer gun. The trigger guard is amply relieved so that you can get up underneath it without rubbing your knuckle, which is quite nice. However, they screwed up the trigger guard because it doesn't fit in Glock holsters, and that's really what you want from a Glock clone. So I wasn't able to find any STR9S specific holsters right now. That's not to say somebody's not going to make them because the pistol is still very new. Getting up into the actual slide, it is a heavy slide with an optics plate type system like the MOS, which means there's a plate that threads into the slide that you then thread an optic down into. Be sure and use blue Loctite and a torque wrench to tighten it down so you don't end up launching your optic down range. The target sights are 3-dot fiber optic sights, which in 2021 is an odd choice, but I will say the machining on the sights is very crisp and clear. It is very easy to be precise with these shots. So if you couple the very good ergonomics of the frame with the very usable sights and the trigger, we'll talk about the trigger in a second, this gun is super accurate. I was printing cloverleaf groups with this gun towards the end of my range sessions with very little time behind the gun. Usually it would take a little bit longer for me and I was able to get at that accuracy pretty quickly. Because the slide is so fat, the recoil impulse is quite slow and very, very manageable. This gun is really, really pleasant to shoot. It is significantly softer shooting without a muzzle device than a Glock or honestly any of the other polymer guns because the slide is so heavy. Now that said, I think that cuts both ways. If you decided you wanted to use a suppressor or a compensator at the front of the gun, I think that that would potentially slow down the slide to the point where you would begin to have reliability issues unless you change out the spring on the full-length stainless steel guide rod that the gun ships with, which is a nice premium feature as well. There is a full pick rail on the bottom so you can hang whatever lights or lasers you care to. So this gun is really squared away for home defense, like right out of the box. This is a really solid value for what it is. Getting back onto the trigger, it is a flat face trigger that is very broad across the face. It is very light, it's sub 5 pounds on my trigger gauge. And the character of the trigger is like an improved Glock trigger. It's not amazing, but the extra leverage you get from that straight trigger makes the pull weight feel less than it actually is. The trigger weight is satisfactory to potentially carry. It provides enough tactile feedback where you won't have too much issues from trigger checking, but it's very shootable, and because the gun is somewhat heavy, you won't throw the sights off target. The back straps are interchangeable. They provide 3 different back straps, large, medium, and small, so small-handed shooters still will be able to find a good home on this pistol as well. I think that there is a new entrance into the sub $500 pistol category that deserves a lot of attention, and the Stoeger STR-9S Combat pleasantly surprised me in a pretty big way. So I'd love to hear your experience. Would you consider a Stoeger STR-9S Combat for home defense or potentially concealed carry? Where would you see a gun like this fitting into your collection? Sound off in the comments and let's have a conversation. I appreciate you guys and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.